welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go through a yoga flow sequence. So I'll do a breakdown of the yoga flow as we go through the first variation of flow, offering modifications and cueing safe movements. And then as we move through the flow, I'm going to start to move faster and do less cueing. So I'll tell you which pose we're moving into, but there'll be a little bit less breakdown and explanation of the poses. So if you guys are wanting to learn how to do a beginner's flow, please be sure to like my video and subscribe to the Shar Way, because I will be posting a video in the next probably a few weeks on beginner breakdown flow for you guys. So if you're ready to move through a strong flow practice today, make sure to grab some water, grab your mat, and also before we start this video, be sure to like it and subscribe down to the Shar Way crew, and comment below if you guys have any questions or if you want to just chat. So with all of that said, let's dive into today's yoga flow practice. So we're going to start out our practice today in a seated position. So getting comfortable into a cross-legged position. If you're more comfortable sitting onto a cushion, if you need some cushioning below you, or if you've got a bolster or a block, I just have bolsters here, and sitting it underneath your seat. So I'll show you guys side profile here. So sitting under your seat and just sitting cross-legged. So this allows more space for your hips to open up and fall away. So if you're quite tight into hip flexors, this is a really great place to support yourself to get started. So whatever that looks like for you, getting comfortable into a cross-legged position and resting the hands onto the knees or the thighs. You have palms facing downwards to allow more connection with yourself, or you can turn the palms facing upward to allow more energy to come inwards into your body. So choosing what feels right for you. Maybe you want to keep your energy to yourself, or maybe you want to take in more energy from the people in your life, in your home, around you. So when you're ready, closing the eyes if that feels safe and comfortable for you. And starting to bring awareness to your breath. Just starting to notice how the breath is moving today. Is it fast? Is it slow? So not trying to change it, not trying to put any expectation or pressure on your breath and your body, just becoming aware, being the watcher of what's going on in your body. Starting to bring some more awareness, starting to deepen the breath. Bringing in nice big inhale, inhaling in through the nose. And let's exhale out the mouth, dumping that breath out, letting it go. Finding another inhale, inhaling in through the nose, filling up. And exhale, letting the breath go, letting it out. And one more big one of those, inhaling in, filling up all the air you can, breathing it all in, and exhale. Loud out the mouth, cathartic breath, dumping that breath out. Let that breath come back, just its rhythm, noticing if it's different than when we started. And from here, starting to find an inhale in through the nose. Inhaling to a count of 2 or 3, and exhaling out the nose if that's possible. If not, out the mouth is fine. And exhaling to that same count. So it could be a count of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever that count looks like for you. So starting small maybe, finding the inhale to come in through the nose, inhaling for 1, 2, 3, holding at the top for a second, and exhale, 3, 2, 1. So trying to find equal parts breath, matching the inhale to the exhale. So finding that rhythm of breath, also known as Samsriti breathing. Starting to match our inhale to our exhale. And you might notice that your inhales feel really big and your exhales feel really short, or might be the opposite way. Just noticing that, not judging it, just allowing the breath to move. Just trying to find that evenness of the inhale to the exhale. Doesn't need to be big or fancy, just needs to be movement of some kind. Continuing with those rounds, those movements. Can you expand the count, one count higher? Can you deepen it a little more? Maybe trying it, seeing how it feels. Take 3 more breaths, nice and slow, not trying to rush, not trying to get anywhere fast. Feeling that breath move in and out. Once you've found your last exhale, bringing your right hand onto your heart and left hand onto your belly. Just taking a couple breaths here, connecting with your heart. Feeling your heartbeat, feeling your breath come into the belly on the bottom hand. And perhaps here setting an intention for today's class. Noticing if something comes up right away for you. Perhaps you came here to feel stronger, to move away from pain, to feel more relaxed, to spend some self-care time. Or maybe you want to send this energy towards someone else who needs it today. Whatever that is for you, honoring what comes up. And if there's no intention, it doesn't resonate with you, then not setting an intention. Bowing your head slightly forward towards your heart, setting that intention, honoring it. And when you're ready, releasing the hands back to the knees. You can flutter the eyes open gently. And coming back to the space here on the mat. So from here, we're going to inhale, sweep up the arms high towards the sky, reaching through the fingertips. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, sweeping up again, reaching those fingers nice and high. Opening the arms out into a V. Getting a nice stretch in through the shoulders, the chest. Bring those hands together again. Opening back up into a V. Feeling that nice openness in through the shoulders, the collarbones. And exhale, bring those hands back together. We're going to bring the palms together first. Thumbs, baby finger, keeping those other 3 fingers spreading open wide into our lotus flower. So pressing our lotus flower high towards the sky, opening up, flowering open our lotus flower. And exhaling as we release those fingertips together, closing the lotus. And let's exhale, bring the hands back down through heart center, pressing the thumb into the breastbone just for a second. And inhale, let's open up our lotus, spreading those fingers open again in front of our chest. Exhale as we press that lotus high towards the sky, reaching that lotus flower. Imagine that your lotus flower has some water inside of it. So just slightly tipping your hands slightly forward, but we don't want to tip over the water, tip that water out. So just tipping hands gently forward, bringing it back to center. And exhale, tipping slightly back with that lotus. So again, not trying to tip that water out. Come back to center. Exhale, let's close the lotus flower, pressing our hands together, drawing them back down through heart center. Releasing the hands, shake them out, shake out those shoulders. Awesome. We're gonna kick the legs out in front, give them a little shake out. And we're gonna come into the awkward cross. So crossing to the opposite way, which is the uncomfortable cross. You always will go to like your natural cross. Trying to make yourself go to the other cross feels so weird. So in our different cross of the legs here, bringing the hands onto the thighs, just pressing below the knees. So we're not pressing into our knee joint here. And we're gonna come through some little circle rotations, warming up the hips. So we're gonna inhale over towards the right, bringing our chest across the front. And as we exhale, starting to press and round back through the spine, pressing our spine back. Inhale, coming across the front. Exhaling, rounding back through, pressing round. Inhale, back to the front. So just finding circle rotations here of the hips. So they can be little circles, can be big circles. Just finding some movement into the hips here. You start to feel a little nauseous or dizzy, just making the circles smaller. So it can be micro little circles just of the chest and the heart moving. So finding your variation, maybe closing the eyes, really moving slowly here, connecting with your hips, your pelvis, noticing how everything is feeling. On your last round forward, coming back to neutral spine, so letting go of those circles. And we're gonna come through the other side. So as we inhale, rocking over towards the left, drawing our chest across the front, and exhale, rounding back through. Coming in the opposite direction. So you really start to draw the chest forward, and then as you round back out, hollowing the belly, almost like those mini kind of cat-cow variations. So finding your circles on the other side, walking everything around, maybe closing the eyes, connecting with your hips, your pelvis, noticing how different this side might feel. Moving with your breath. So every inhale, drawing forward, and every exhale, rounding back. Coming back to center, finding that neutral position, just letting everything settle. And we're going to kick out those legs in front, releasing the cross of the legs. And from here, we're going to bring up the right leg and just grabbing on to the right leg with our left hand. So finding some hip movement here. So holding on to the left foot. If your foot's not within reach, you can always just hold on to the thigh or the anywhere you can reach, really. So starting to find some rotation and movement through the hip flexor or the hip joint. You can use that left hand to support you and hold you up here. And keep the bottom leg long, or you can even option to bend it inwards into a half cross if that makes you feel more supported. So wherever you can hold on to, just starting to rock and find some movements of the hip joint. You can even do some little circles here. Just starting to wake up our hips. Switching directions, so going the opposite rotation. Just finding some circle movements. Saying hello hip joint, just bring some blood flow into the hip. Ooh, hello hip. And releasing that leg, giving a shake out. And we'll bend up through the left, holding on to that foot with the opposite hand, or using the same side and just supporting underneath thigh, onto the calf, just avoiding the knee joint. So again, just finding those movements back and forth, starting to move some blood flow and fluid into that hip joint. Giving it a wake up. You can start to find some circles of the hip, rocking it into a clockwise or counterclockwise. Switching directions if you haven't already. We spend so much time sitting in office desks or sitting on the couch too much lately with everything going on, so it's really good to get some movement and flow into these hips. Awesome. Let's release that top leg, stretching it out long. Give those hips a wiggle. Let's bend up through the knees, bending the knees, soles of the feet onto the mat, keeping the hands behind you. And just swaying those hips side to side, or those knees side to side. Just waving out any tension, tightness. All right, come back to center. And from here, we're just going to kick our legs behind us, finding our way into our tabletop position. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. So coming into our tabletop, spreading through the hands, pressing into the fingertips. So we're really rooting through those hands, drawing up through the shoulders and lifting that little space underneath the hands. So almost like you're trying to not crush a little yellow flower. You can imagine it's under your palms. You're sucking and drawing upwards. Keeping our hips stacked above our knees. Nice form of tabletop. From here, finding our cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly towards the mat, lifting through the collarbone. Gaze comes up, flipping the bum away. And exhale, rounding through the spine, pressing the spine high towards the sky, letting the head fall between the hands. And inhale, coming back, dropping our belly, coming through our cow. And exhale, rounding back through. Inhale, belly fall. Collarbones widen, gaze comes up. Let's exhale, round back through. Coming back to our neutral spine, we're going to take a little bit of a flowing cat-cow. So as we inhale, we're going to drop the belly towards the mat, collarbone spread, gaze comes up. And exhale, rounding back through into our cat, pressing through the hands. We're going to start to sit our seat towards our feet, coming into a mini child's pose. And inhaling, drawing ourselves forward, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze into our cow. Exhale, round back through, sitting back. Inhale, coming forward, belly falls, gaze. Exhale, round. So finding those fluid motions, the little cat-cow flow, warming up the spine. Waking every vertebrae up. Closing the eyes if that feels good. Just moving with every breath. So matching your own breath, not trying to follow me or follow anyone that's doing this with you. Just moving with your own breath, your own movement. Maybe that means you're going super, super slow. Finding 2 more rounds. Meeting back in our tabletop whenever you're ready. All right, so from here, we're going to curl under our back toes, pressing through the feet, drawing our bum towards the sky, coming into our first downward facing dog. So walk out that dog, give it a stretch out. Really opening through the chest. So thinking about melting your heart towards those legs. So maybe that means bending into the knees, drawing the belly towards the thighs, and trying to straighten through those legs, keeping the belly where it is. From here, we're going to baby step towards the top of the mat, coming between the hands, bending deeply into the knees, coming into our forward fold. Releasing the head forward into our Uttanasana, forward fold. Letting the hands dangle, so if you're up here, keeping that micro bend to support the low back. It's okay if you're not touching the mat. Letting the head fall, letting it shake out. We'll inhale to a halfway lift, hands onto shins or thighs, whatever allows you to come into that nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Release that head, release the hands. We'll inhale, sweep up high towards the sky, reaching up. Exhale the hands through heart center. Inhale, sweeping up again. Exhale, release those hands at your sides, coming into our mountain pose. So rooting through the 4 corners of the feet. Palms facing forward. We'll inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back. Coming into our strong mountain pose, really rooting up through the feet, lifting through the arches, so drawing your arches up, engaging through the thighs, drawing everything up, like you're strong into the ground. The roots are growing through the feet. Chest shining forward. One more big breath here. From here, we'll inhale, sweep up high towards the sky. Exhale, dive our hands wide, bending from the hips, coming through forward folds, letting the head fall. Inhale to a halfway lift, flat back, engaging through those back muscles, really strong. Exhale, forward folds. Inhale, placing the hands, stepping the right foot back, and then the left foot back, coming into our first plank variation. So from here, in our very first plank, we're going to drop the knees, allowing to come into our half plank. So still engaging through the belly, drawing belly towards the spine, finding that nice straight plank position. So we don't have bums in the air, we're not sagging in, we're keeping nice and strong. Spreading through those fingers, we're going to work through our chaturanga, so we're not just collapsing down into the mat. We're really thinking about rocking that chest forward. So rock it here, holding here, finding that engagement through the arms. Rocking back, coming back to our half plank, or maybe you're in full plank, but no full planking if you can't chaturanga properly. Inhale, rocking our heart forward. We're going to bend from the elbows, coming down a micro bend, releasing through the elbows, dropping belly, lifting our chest, inhaling into our baby cobra. Exhale, release the forehead to the mat, pressing through the hands, coming back through our tabletop, whittling out the spine for a second. Let's curl under the toes, coming back through downward facing dog. Catching that breath, letting it go. We'll inhale, starting to walk ourselves between the hands again, coming back to our forward fold, letting the head hang. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending through those knees, inhale, sweeping up high towards the sky, reaching up. Exhale the hands through heart center. Inhale, sweeping up again. And exhale, wide dive of the hands, tipping from the hips, coming down, forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, placing the hands, step the left foot back, then the right foot back, coming into our plank variation. On the engaging through the belly, holding nice and strong here. Drop those knees if you need to. Inhale, rock that chest forward, coming through our chaturanga, coming to 90, dropping the hips first, then lifting the chest. Inhaling to our baby cobra, really engaging through the back muscles. So we're finding that strength. Maybe hovering the hands here, noticing if you're actually using your back. Place the hands back down, release the forehead down. Pressing through the hands, coming back to our tabletop. Give those hips a wiggle. Curl the toes under, coming back to downward facing dog. Taking 2 big breaths here. Let's inhale, kick up the right leg high towards the sky, reaching it up. Pressing through the toes, reaching. Exhale, rounding through, drawing the foot between the hands, stepping it in between your hands. Turning the back foot onto a 45-degree angle. Inhale, sweeping up into our warrior 2. Stretching out through our warrior 2. Sinking our hips down through the mat. Reaching our hands, gazing over those front fingertips. Nice, strong warrior. Big breaths. Inhale, release that front arm towards the front thigh, keeping the back hand onto the hip. So we're stacking our shoulders here. Option to reach the top arm towards the sky, maybe gazing up towards that top hand. You can even reach that arm up overhead, bicep towards the ear, trying to kiss it. You can just always spin out that shoulder if it's getting stuck. So as long as you're keeping that heart shining open, so we're not collapsing through those shoulders or stacking them on top of each other. Keeping our bend into our front leg. Reaching through that top hand, wherever it is. Engaging through the belly. Exhale as we come back up into our warrior 2. Nice, strong. I'm going to release the hands forward, framing the front foot, stepping back into our plank here, coming back through plank, dropping down if you need to into half plank. Inhale the heart forward, bending through the elbows, coming through our baby cobra, inhaling. Exhale, press through the hands, coming back through tabletop. Curling those toes under, coming back through downward facing dog. Give that dog a stretch. Shake the head yes, shake the head no. Letting it go. From here, we're going to either baby step or start to hop ourselves forward, coming up to the top of the mat. Releasing forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping arms high to sky. Reaching up, exhale the hands through heart center. Inhale, sweep up high to sky. Flipping the hands, bending from the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward folds. Let's step back with both feet, coming back into our plank. Holding our plank here. So option to drop down onto the knees if you need to, or staying into our full variation here. So really stacking our shoulders over our wrists, protecting those shoulders, squeezing through the belly, 3 breaths. If you start to shake, that's okay. 1 more breath. Release the knees down. Inhale, coming forward, bending through chaturanga, lifting into our baby cobra. Inhale. Exhale, pressing through the hands, coming back to our tabletop and finding our way back to downward dog. Inhale, reaching the left leg up high towards the sky. And exhale as we draw that foot between the hands, coming into our warrior 2 on the other side. So flipping that back foot onto a 45. Inhale to come back up. I'm going to switch sides so you guys can see. Back up into our warrior 2 on the other side. So bending through that front leg, back foot 45. Reaching the arms up, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Gazing over those front fingertips. Finding that strength into the hips. Let's exhale, release that front arm, sweeping the top arm up high to sky. Option to keep it on the hip, or you can sweep up overhead, rounding out that shoulder if you need to. So again, from here, pressing into that bottom arm, lifting away with the shoulders. We're not collapsing down. Finding that strength. Gazing up towards the sky, if that's okay on the neck. If not, just keeping it neutral. Engaging through the belly wherever you are. Inhale as we come back up, warrior 2. Sweeping both arms forward, pivoting that back foot, releasing down, frame the front foot. Let's step back into our plank, dropping the knees if you need. Inhale forward, coming through our chaturanga, dropping hips, lifting into a baby cobra, or option to lift up into upward facing dog. Your choice. Exhale, press back through tabletop. Give those hips a wiggle, and pressing back into our downward facing dog. Taking 3 big breaths here. And inhale, kick up that right leg high to sky. Exhale, hand through the center, coming between your feet. And inhale as we sweep our arms up high, lunge. Bending into that front leg, reaching up high. Let's come this way so you guys can see. Reaching up nice and high. Strong through those legs. Let's exhale the hands through heart center. We're going to step that back foot to the top of the mat, coming to the top of our mat. Perfect. Take a sip of water if you need. So from here, if you have a block or a water bottle handy, we're going to keep the right foot forward, stepping the left foot back. So coming into our triangle pose. Our pyramid pose. So you can put the block or water bottle on the inside of your right foot and almost creating like a train track. So you're putting the feet onto the train tracks. Hands onto the pelvis. Inhale nice and tall through the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we're gonna start to tip over that front leg. So you can adjust your stance as you need. You can make it shorter, make it wider. If you need to help your balance out, you can make the stance a little wider. So inhale nice and tall through the crown of the head. As we exhale, starting to tip ourselves over that front leg, keeping a nice straight back here. So we're coming down nice straight back. So we're not rounding down to get down here. We're staying nice and tall with the chest. So almost like a string is drawing your chest down over that front leg. Once you can't tip any further, starting to reach those hands either towards a block, maybe towards your thigh, starting to tip yourself down that front leg, cascading and falling downwards. So you can option to reach towards that block, drawing the nose towards the knee on the front leg. So finding a really big juicy stretch in to the hamstring here. If you can reach the floor, you can option to kick that block out of the way, reaching for the floor or that ankle. But again, not going to the 10th degree here. There's no need to be a pretzel. Breathing into wherever your tension might be. That means you come a little higher. If your breathing seems really labored and really hard, coming back up a little bit. 2 more breaths here. Releasing, letting go of tension in the face. On your last exhale, starting to press ourselves back up that front leg. Stepping ourselves back up. And step that back foot forward. Give your legs a shake. Inhale, sweep the arms up high to sky. Reach through those fingertips. Maybe baby back bend. Exhale, hands through heart center. Let's come through the other side. So keeping the left foot forward, stepping our right foot back. So coming with both toes pointing forward. The back foot will be slightly peeked out. Imagine that you're standing on kind of train tracks in between your feet. So adjusting the stance as you need, bringing your block in front of you. Inhaling nice and tall. Growing through the crown. And exhale as we start to tip from the hips, falling over that front leg. So tipping as far as you can, keeping the belly engaged, supporting the low back, so we're not just collapsing, letting everything go. We're really keeping strong here. So if you can't tip any further, releasing the hands onto the front thigh, maybe the blocks within reach, allowing yourself to start to fall down that front leg. Drawing nose towards the knee. So you might be way tighter on one side. I'm definitely tighter on my left side. So just being mindful of that, not trying to make both sides even out, just trying to feel something. So as long as you're feeling a stretch, a pull through the glute, the hip, the thigh, the hamstring, whatever it is for you, that's all that matters. So breathing wherever you are. Finding those big breaths, letting them be noisy if you need them to be. Hold here for 2 breaths. On your last exhale, starting to walk yourself back up that front leg. Whew. And step the right foot forward. Give your hips a wiggle, give them a shake. Hello, hip flexors. Take a sip of water if you guys need. All right, coming back to the top of the mat. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up high to sky. And exhale, dive through forward fold, tipping from the hips. Release the head forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place the hands on the mat, stepping your right foot and then your left foot back into our plank position here. So we're going to drop the knees into half plank for right now, coming through our side plank variation. So bringing the right hand underneath your face, turning the back foot open, so pressing the sole of the foot onto the mat, keeping the bottom knee bent here though. So you can keep it parallel or you can flip it out for a little bit of a kickstand. And we're going to inhale as we spin our heart open towards the side, coming into our half plank variation. So making sure that we're stacking our wrists underneath our shoulders, so we're not just letting our arm hang out here in space. We're making sure that we're stacking up nice with our joints. So pressing that top hip towards the sky. Inhale, reach that top hand up. Option to gaze up towards those top fingertips if you like. And of course, option here if you want to come into the full plank variation, bringing that bottom foot to meet the other one, coming into our full plank. Popping that hip up towards the top. So wherever you are, all just options. One more breath. And exhale, release that top hand. Coming back to our plank position, finding that strength, engaging through the belly. And from here, we're going to come through our chaturanga, inhaling forward, dropping down through the elbows, belly. Inhale, lift into our baby cobra or upward facing dog. And that's exhale, press back through down dog. Pausing at tabletop if you need. Releasing, let that go. We're going to inhale, come back through our plank, finding that strength again. Let's exhale, press back, downward dog. Inhaling, coming forward. Nice and strong. Exhale, press back, down dog. Inhale, one more time, come forward. And exhale, pressing back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank one more time. Come through our chaturanga here. Inhale, coming down. Exhale, inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press ourselves back into our downward facing dog. Let's release the knees down to the mat. And we'll come back in to our half plank variation here, coming in through the other side. So bringing the left hand underneath the face, stretching out the back foot long, and pressing ourselves open into our plank on the other side. So again, noticing that stack of the shoulder, pressing through, reaching the hand up. Option to gaze towards that top hand if you like, and option to come into full plank if that's within your practice, or you want to challenge the core strength here. 2 more breaths. And last breath. Exhale, release that top hand. Coming back to our plank. Let's release those knees. Bring the knees wide. Sitting our seat back onto our feet, coming into our child's pose. Reach those hands forward. Release everything. Let the breath go. Finding your breath to catch up with you. Letting the breath be noisy. On your last exhale, start to walk yourself back up into a tabletop position. And we're going to walk our hands forward, coming in to our melting heart posture. So if the ground feels quite far away from you here, you can have a block or a bolster just to rest underneath your forehead. So starting to walk our hands down, keeping our hips stacked over our knees. So our hips are staying nice and high, and releasing forward. So if you need a block there, feel free to use it. If not, just releasing all the way down with the face, the forehead coming down to the mat. Forearms resting. Finding a nice big stretch in through the shoulders, through the armpits. letting everything go. And exhale, start to walk yourself back up into your tabletop position. Just sitting back onto the feet, shaking out those wrists for a second. And from here, we'll come back to our tabletop. We're gonna inhale, sweep up the right arm high towards the sky, away from you. I'll come this way just so you can see. Just coming into threading the shoulders, so inhale, sweep that arm out. Exhale, cross it in underneath, resting the shoulder onto the mat. Right ear comes down to the mat. Option to bring that top hand on to the low back. Just resting it there. You can even cross it over the low back if that feels good. Or you can press that top hand away. So our bottom shoulder, we're really pressing into that shoulder. So we're putting the weight into our shoulder, getting that stretch. We're not collapsing the weight all into our neck and our head. Getting a nice big stretch, spreading through the bottom hand, pressing the nails into the mat. And exhale, release that top hand down. Pressing away with the arm, releasing that top arm. Coming back to our tabletop, and we'll come through the other side. So inhale, sweep up that opposite arm, the left arm, sweeping it underneath. Coming back into or threading the needle on the other side. You can leave that bottom hand down if that feels good, or you can press it up towards the sky or cross it over that low back. Just rest on the low back. So letting the breath go, having that nice big stretch into the outside of the shoulders. Work those shoulders hard today. Taking one more breath. And release that top hand. Starting to press yourself back into your tabletop. Let's find our way onto our seat. And just finding a hip opener here before we come down to the mat. Bringing the soles of the feet together, creating a diamond shape of the legs. We'll inhale nice and tall through the chest. And exhale, rounding forward, allowing our belly, our chest, our gaze to come all the way down to the mat, towards those feet. Letting everything go here. It doesn't matter how far you come down, just finding some stretch and release into the outer IT band, maybe in through the hips, the low back. Releasing. And exhale, start to press yourself back up. Release those hips out in front of you. And we'll find our way down onto the mat, coming back onto our backs. So releasing all the way down, keeping the knees bent. And we're gonna lift up through the right leg, crossing it over the left, coming into our figure four, just stretching out our hips here before we relax into our Shavasana. So resting the right ankle over the left knee, flexing through the feet, coming into our figure four. So staying here might be enough for you. You can option to press away that right thigh with the right hand. Or if you want to deepen this stretch, you can reach between the space you've created, grabbing for the back side of that left thigh or the left shin and drawing those legs towards you. So finding a really big glutey stretch into the glute med here and through the piriformis, and keeping those top toes flexed. Drawing those knees towards you, or just pressing that thigh away. Letting the breath go. Releasing any tension through the face. Let's release that hold. Bring the foot back down. Uncross the top leg. Let's windshield wiper those legs, releasing any tension. Ooh, tight, tight, tight. We'll lift up through the left leg, crossing over into our figure four on the other side. So resting that ankle onto the right thigh. So maybe staying here, pressing away that left thigh. Or option to reach between, creating that in that space and drawing the right thigh towards you. Just bringing it towards the chest. Getting a really big stretch here. Something that's really great to do every day is stretch out these hips. They get so tight. It's an awesome way to release tension. Letting go. Breathing out tightness. And let's exhale, release that hold. Let the legs come back down, uncross yourself. Walking the soles of the feet to the outer edge of the mat, knocking the knees together, and just windshield wipering the legs this way. So just a different variation of windshield wipering. And come back to center, knock those knees together. And you can stay here into your final Shavasana if the low back is feeling tight. If you want to relieve any tension through the low back, you can option to keep the knees knocking together. Or if you like, you can stretch out the legs all the way long onto the mat, letting them go. Or for any reason that you want to take your final meditation into a seated position, feel free to do so. I'm going to close out doing seated just so I can talk to you guys. So finding whatever position is comfortable for you. Closing the eyes if that feels safe and comfortable. And just letting the breath go. Breathing it out the mouth. Letting it return to its natural rhythm here. Allowing it to fully fall away. Letting go of any thoughts or things you need to do after today's class. Just allowing yourself to settle into the space, soak in all the benefits of your hard work. Knowing that you have nothing left to do but be here. I will leave you here in silence for a few moments, and I will call you back out when it's time. Starting to bring your awareness back to the space on your mat. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Finding some circles of the wrists and the ankles. Finding your way to roll onto your right side into a fetal position. Pressing yourself up to a comfortable seat whenever you're ready. Once you're in your comfortable seat, bringing your hands to heart center, pressing the thumb gently into the breastbone. And coming back to the intention that you might have set at the beginning of the class, and noticing how that intention might feel now. Honoring wherever it is, whatever the outcome might be. And bringing gratitude to yourself for coming to the mat today and working so hard. Thank you so much for being here with me. From my heart to yours, namaste. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please be sure to like this video, share it with anybody else that you think might be needing it right now. And of course, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe down below to the Shar Way. And you guys can see more yoga videos coming up in the future. Thanks for watching, you guys. Love you. Bye.